Hello everyone, meteorologist Chris Sowers here. You know, people come up to me all the time and they ask me, who do you trust to do work on your home? Well, for me, the answer's simple. It's Bobby and Tim at Realistic Exterior. They've earned a reputation for quality roofing and siding across Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Delaware by doing the job right and standing by the work that they do. Just take a look at all of their 5-star reviews. That right there pretty much tells you everything you need to know. Try their free AI roof estimate tool. It'll give you a ballpark estimate before you even schedule an appointment, so you'll know what to expect. Now, I have to tell you something about this Bobby. He's just one of those guys you don't forget. Visit realisticexterior.com and watch his videos. You'll laugh, you'll see his personality, his passion, and you'll understand why homeowners trust him and his team. For quality craftsmanship, honest service, and a contractor that you can count on, call Realistic Exterior. The weather can be unpredictable at times, but your contractor shouldn't be.
Busy, busy, busy here in the Philadelphia area today. We've had another round of thunderstorms push through, although this one has not been, at least for the immediate Philadelphia area, this one has not been all that bad at all, as it seemed to just kind of fizzle apart or kind of wind down as it approached the Philadelphia area. Now, at the same time, it walloped portions of Baltimore and D.C. We actually had multiple tornado warnings for downtown Baltimore. And we also had something that you rarely see. We had a couple of, sometimes when you get these really big destructive thunderstorms, sometimes the National Weather Service will put tags on them. Or in other words, they're going to label them. Sometimes you'll see a considerable tag. Sometimes you'll see a destructive tag on them. You don't see a destructive tag very often. Okay, you will see considerable tags quite a bit, but a destructive tag is pretty rare. All right, and usually the destructive tag is only put on a severe thunderstorm warning when you're seeing tornadoes or straight line winds up to 80 miles per hour, you know, something that's just really powerful, something that you just don't see very often. That's exactly what we had a couple times today in the Baltimore area. The Baltimore television market, we had destructive tags attached to some of these severe thunderstorm warnings, and we had considerable amounts of damage west and north of Baltimore. But it was weird because let's go to the full radar. That's all that's left. So what initially happened here, I'll pan out, we had a really healthy line, okay? And the line, as I get my control sets here, the line was kind of like this, all right? And now it was broken, though, all right? You had a big batch here. You had a huge batch there. You had a couple of thunderstorms here. I mean, there were holes in this line, right? It wasn't just one solid line coming through. What was interesting was, as this thing progressed to the east, all right, as it started, you know, kind of moving to the east, okay, the line then did one of these, okay? So you have a line going, you had the line coming this way, and then the line did this. All right, and in the middle here, you got nothing. It was, you know, it was funny because I was talking about this and I described it. I used a biblical verse there, a biblical saying. It parted like the Red Sea. That's exactly what it did. The line's coming through, and then it went in both directions. One went to the north up in the Poconos and Lehigh Valley, and the other one went down to the south and crushed the Baltimore, D.C. areas. And I think what happened was, if you remember, right around lunchtime, we got this line. It was a small line. It wasn't big, but it was a line nonetheless. And it pulled out of Harrisburg, and it moved into Lancaster County and western portions of Chester County. And it was downpours and a couple thunderstorms, nothing severe, all right, but some thunderstorms and downpours. And I'm wondering if that line possibly stabilized the atmosphere there, okay? So when the second round came through this afternoon and evening, okay, it encountered the stable air, and the stable air just killed it, you know, in that area. And then, you know, it maintained itself to the north and it maintained itself to the south. But where we had the earlier rains, I'm wondering if that band of early rain stabilized the atmosphere, and that was all she wrote in that area. You couldn't get any more flaring up because, you know, you kind of stabilized things. So, I mean, sometimes that's really all that it takes, too. Again, that's a pretty good illustration of how this thing played out. And now you can see we got the big weather down here to the south. All severe thunderstorm watches and warnings, for that matter, have been dropped, okay? Now we're seeing just a couple of thunderstorms, pushing off the coast of Sussex County, Delaware. Cape May's getting some pretty good rain, much needed rain. Ocean City, Atlantic City's getting wet. May's Landing, Woodbine, those areas, maybe as far north as southern LBI. Hamilton's getting wet right now. Estelle Manor and Dorothy, Mill May, Vineland, Millville. Those areas are seeing a little bit of rain, but it's just that. All right, it's rain. Maybe you get a lightning strike every now and then. That's really about it. And you can see nothing behind it. So we're pretty much done for the night. Now, what's going to be interesting here, all right, I'm going to go a little bit wider. What's going to be interesting, and you're going to see this, I'm going to show you this here in a second. So I'm going to stop the loop. You're going to get, this is what I've been wanting to do here. I wanted to illustrate. So you've got this ridge, all right, this heat pump ridge here. And what you're going to see happen is over the next couple of mornings, you're going to have these big areas of clusters, all right, thunderstorm clusters. We call them MCSs, mesoscale convective systems. They're also known as ridge runners. They're also known as, the other name escapes me, ridge runners and night crawlers, that's it. And because a lot of these will feed off the late night, early morning hours, okay, the energy. And so you're going to get a couple of these out here. And some of the modeling wants to bring it this way. Some of the modeling wants to lift it farther to the north. But currently, all the guidance says big storms with these clusters through about there. Okay? And then when it goes east of that line here, it weakens dramatically. Let's hope so, because what some of the guidance is showing out here is nothing to sneeze at. All right? What some of the guidance is showing out there towards Pittsburgh and Cleveland and Columbus could be a lot of storm damage, okay? So, hopefully that's exactly what happens. All right, let's go over to the Weather Bell split here. I use Weather Bell, weatherbell.com for a lot of my graphics. And here's a look at the SPC, the Categorical Storm Prediction Center, and this is what they're talking about. They see tomorrow. Now, remember, they have lifted this dark shade of green just a little bit farther to the north now, okay? Remember, yesterday, they didn't have it in the Philadelphia area. Now it is. Okay, they updated it this morning. And now it includes South Jersey, it includes the Delaware Bay, it includes the state of Delaware, Cecil County, Queens Anne County is in this, Baltimore, D.C. But notice the big yellow shaded area is still off to the west. Now I have a feeling come tomorrow they may push both of these polygons just a little bit, not a ton, but just a little bit to the northeast. And I do think by tomorrow morning that dark shade of green will be over Philadelphia, it will be over Trenton, and it will be over the Lehigh Valley. How far north we get that yellow shaded area, that remains to be seen, but I think that may edge a little bit farther to the north as well. So we got another round, and again, it all really just depends on where these MCSs go. I mean, if the MCS is way far to the south, nobody's going to get any severe weather tomorrow. And these things, I mean, it's like think of it as they have their own nucleus, right? They have their own brain. They do what they want. They follow the steering current. So the steering current is likely going to take it off to the southeast. We just don't know how far north it gets first before it goes to the southeast. Make sense? I hope so, because it's kind of what I was, it's kind of what I was talking about here as I go back. All right, again, the idea is here comes the cluster. All right, at some point, it's going to start heading down to the southeast. Does it get this far first and then start going down? Does it go this far and then start going down? Or does it, get up here and then start going down? Obviously, these two tracks would be game on for severe weather in the Philadelphia area. This track here, we'd probably miss out on everything, okay? So that's really, what we're monitoring at this point. You got one of them coming in tomorrow and another one potentially coming in Wednesday morning. All right, and after that should be it, and we should settle things down for a while. The heat and humidity will break by the end of the week, and all signs continue to point to an incredible stretch of weather as we get into this upcoming weekend. Incredible. As a matter of fact, Saturday morning, and it still looks wonderful, you're talking about dew points in the 50s, gorgeous, temperatures in the 50s, awesome. I mean, it's just going to be really, really nice. So there's a look at the categorical. Again, we'll see if they make any changes to that first thing tomorrow morning. That's tomorrow. There is Wednesday. Okay? Now, again, we'll see. I think that's really far to the south. Really, really far to the south. I think that's another one that they're going to have to probably edge a little bit farther to the north. But, we'll see. Okay, here's a look at the rapid refresh forecast system. Now, here's a look at the line. Remember, it was a beefy line out to the west. Tons of warnings out there, huge cells. Some of the returns were just showing up bright red and purple, on the radar. The DBZs way over 60, which is usually an indication. Once you get higher than 60 on a DBZ, that's usually an indication that you're going to see a severe storm. They were way over 60 out here. So here it came, all right? And the modeling showed this line. Notice what happened, all right? Let me go back. See, look what it looks like there at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, then at 4. See the difference? It's subtle, but do you see the difference? There's 3. Again, watch over the fill. Don't watch the southern part of the line. Look at the northern part. Ready? 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. We go from all this orange and red and purple to that. So you could already see the modeling trying to show perhaps a little bit of weakening before it actually weakened. All right, so the modeling was actually on the right idea. And then you could, this lines up beautifully with what took place today. Beautifully. Okay? Still some hefty weather around the Delaware Bay. So, the model initialized correctly. So that means there's a good chance that what comes after this is going to be pretty accurate too. Or that's the idea. That's the theory, right? So here's a look at tomorrow. Right there's 8 o'clock in the morning. Nothing. 9, 10, 11, 12, 1. We're in good shape. Nothing going on first part of the day again. There's 2. There's 3, there's 4 p.m. Notice where these are. And again, this is why I'm saying, I think if we go back, okay, and we take a look at, that's today, we take a look at tomorrow, and then the modeling, you see that? That's what they have, the SPC. That's what the model has. There's a little bit of a disconnect there. So I think they're going to end up, again, lifting some of this dark shade of green north into the Lehigh Valley, the Philadelphia area, and Trenton. All right, but there's a look at it. 3, 4, that's 5. There's 6. There's 7. There's 8. There's 9. There's 10. As a matter of fact, this particular model doesn't show anything pushing into Philadelphia again. So we'll see. 9, 10, 11, 12. There's 1 o'clock in the morning. Here's the next one. A lot of green, which is fine. Okay? Green shade is nothing. Green shade is a little bit of rain, and that's it. That sweeps through, and then we're done. Then we're done. Wouldn't that be nice? Let's go back to the radar real quick. Let me zoom in. I'll get rid of all this mess on here. I think we still have technically 1 severe thunderstorm warning that is up for Sussex, the coastal area. Yeah, the coastal areas here in Sussex County. Nice looking bow line there. Nice looking bow line. Boeing segment. There it goes. So technically the severe thunderstorm warning is still in effect. You still see this. Your severe threat has ended in Sussex County. All right, the line is off the coast and out to sea. So from this point on, you're not going to have to worry about severe weather on the Delaware beaches. All right, if you're listening to me right now in Rehoboth Beach or Dewey or Bethany or down to Ocean City, Maryland, your severe threat is done. Now, if you're a boater, hopefully you got off the water before this line pushed through, because we still got some big thunderstorms pulling away from the mouth of the Delaware Bay, pulling away from the Wildwoods, pulling away from Cape May. And now what you're seeing behind it is what we call a stratiform rain. Okay, or in other words, it's just raining. That's it. Maybe you get a couple of rumbles of thunder, but that should be about it. And notice we do have a couple of reports here of 60-mile-per-hour winds. So these storms confirm. Look at this 70-mile-an-hour report right here. Yeah, that's peak gust at Hart Miller Weather Flow Station. That's LWX, 66-mile-per-hour gust. It's pretty impressive. Here's another one right here. That one's 60 miles per hour. That's also at LWX. And here's this one here. That one is a Mesonet station, 58 miles per hour, around 6:13 this evening. All right, let's go back over to the temperatures now. Here's a look at the numbers as we get into tomorrow. All right, we're looking at highs once again right around 90 degrees. Now, it's not going to be as hot, all right, but it's still going to be a little humid. But then look what happens here. Here's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. That's nice. Saturday's nice. So hopefully this plays out. Also, look at this. Look at the low temperature Saturday morning. Wow. That's not bad at all. Saturday morning looking like that. I mean, look at the 50s. Look at all the 50s north of the Delaware River. And even the Pine Barrens in southern New Jersey are probably going to get some 50s out of this. And then by afternoon, it's a struggle to reach 80 degrees in the Lehigh Valley. That's really, really nice when you're talking about Saturday, August 15th and the temperatures are struggling just to reach 80 degrees for a high. How nice is that, right? Then as we get into Sunday, Sunday looks pretty good too. Low to mid 80s, and that's about it. Not too bad. Not too bad at all. And it'll be nice once this humidity breaks. And then here's a look at the long range. Okay? And you do see, all right, we do see, oh my gosh, I just realized this. On the controls, and I forgot to switch. Sorry, guys. Let's do this again, okay? So, let's go back, all right? Yeah, I got my controls all mixed up. So let's go back to this. Here's a look at the highs tomorrow, right around 90. Here's Wednesday, upper 80s. Thursday, upper 80s. Friday, mid to upper 80s. Saturday, look at the low 80s. All right, here's a look. This is what I wanted to show you guys. Look at the Saturday morning temperatures. Upper 50s to right around 60, not bad. Saturday afternoon, or excuse me, there's Sunday. There's Saturday afternoon. There's Sunday afternoon. Saturday, Sunday. I mean, it looks like, whew. If these numbers pan out, this is a gorgeous, gorgeous weekend. Right now we've got in Philadelphia, the official number at the airport. And remember, you're likely only going to hit these numbers for like maybe a half hour or so. 84 on Saturday and 85 on Sunday. All right, look at Allentown. Watch this. 81 on Saturday, 82 on Sunday. Poconos, maybe you're heading up there for the weekend. 73 on Saturday and 74 on Sunday. And then ACY, now the Atlantic City Airport is always warmer than the beaches. 82 on Saturday, 83 on Sunday. The beaches are going to be staying in the 70s. I mean, it just looks like a perfect weekend. Looks like an absolutely perfect weekend. Couldn't ask for anything better. Hopefully it pans out that way. We've certainly had our fair share of big thunderstorms and severe weather lately, right? All right, let's see who we got checking in today. We've got Judy from Levittown. We got David. What weather? Yeah, David, I know. Parts of the area did not see much. You absolutely did not see much. I guess that's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes, right? Chris, what about Thursday? I'm going to see the Foo Fighters at the Link on Thursday night. Well, Thursday did not look all that bad. Let me switch cameras. Okay, we'll go back over to this split here. And let me see what Thursday looked like. All right, I'm going to flip it over to the European model for that one. And let's go over here. All right, here's a look at Thursday. There's Tuesday. It's Wednesday. Thursday doesn't look bad. That's Thursday right there. You're in good shape. Friday looks good too. Maybe a spotty thunderstorm, and then boom, everything drops to the south. Look at this. There's Saturday, and there's Sunday. Something spotty Sunday night, or a thunderstorm Sunday night. But Saturday and Sunday were both really, really nice days. Really, really nice days. We'll take it. We'll take it. Let's see what else we got. We here watching from Lewis, Delaware, getting pounded by rain. Yeah, we've got the live radar on right now. Although it does look like the heaviest is finally starting to pull away. Dolores says, your show is the best. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. I'm a little tired, so my energy levels right now are not what they normally are. But thank you. I appreciate that. Hello from Greenville, Delaware. How are you? And I hope you guys tuned in earlier today. Rob and I did some more severe weather coverage. I think it was from like 3:30 through about 6 or 4 to 6, something like that. Hopefully you guys tuned in. Replying to... Oh, Kathy's saying she loves the Foo Fighters. Okay. I wasn't sure what... I was reading that, and I'm like, wait a minute. Donna says, good evening, Chris from New Egypt. How are you? Aurora in the house. Verna, is that South Jersey by Monroeville? Is that Aurora that you're checking in from? Because that's not a big community. You don't... I mean, that might have, 50 people in it? That's really, really neat. But anyway, good evening to you, Verna. Linda says, hi from Ellesmere, Delaware. How are you? Kathy's watching the Phillies game. What is the score of that Phillies game? They're playing the St. Louis Cardinals, right? Southern New Jersey, Bridgeton got loud thunder, lightning, heavy rain, off and on, seemed to move through quickly. Yeah. And again, if you remember, that's what we had talked about too. Remember? It's sort of like it's a game of pick your poison, right? Because when your atmosphere is so juiced up like this, okay, if the storms move slow, you get the flash flooding, right? But if the storms move fast, you don't get the flash flooding, but now you get the strong damaging winds, okay? So you either get the flooding or you get the winds. And sometimes you can get both. But right now we're kind of, we're going back and forth. You're going to get one or the other. And today was one of those situations where atmospherically everything was kind of set up for winds, not the flash flooding, which is good. I mean, we've had a ton of rain lately. I mean, look at how lush green everything is right now. I said this during our live coverage that, my brother Gary, he had said to me like last week, he was talking about usually, because his backyard's irrigated, but his front yard, he doesn't have a sprinkler system in the front yard. And usually by now, his front yard is crispy brown, right? And the backyard is bright green. Well, this year, everything is bright green. And that's why I was saying, too, you got to be careful with these, the U.S. Drought Monitor, because honestly, the U.S. Drought Monitor is a horrible drought indicator for us right now, because what it's doing is it's taking into account long-term drought going back 6 months, okay? And yes, we are still about 3 to 5 inches in a deficit if you tally up the last 6 months. But if you look at the last 3 months, which you use soil moisture content for, we're in a surplus of 3 to 5 inches. So honestly, we don't need any more rain. We certainly don't need any more flooding. We're going to get more rain, okay, later this week, probably tomorrow and Wednesday. And then there's another round coming in Sunday night, like you just saw. So there's going to be more coming here. And again, you got to be careful with that U.S. Drought Monitor. And this is where experience comes in, right? This is where a degreed meteorologist comes in, because people will just start throwing things up there, and they just, for clicks and whatever, and you don't even really get a true understanding of what's going on, because you see something like that and it's so misleading. It's the wrong thing to show right now. You want to look at the soil moisture content, and we are loaded right now. We are in a surplus over the last 3 months. So when you look at long-term drought, all right, and you'll see it Thursday, watch, everybody will post this thing. The U.S. Drought Monitor updates every Thursday. Someone will post it. 1 million people will post it. Look, the drought's getting better. The drought over the last 3 months is gone. Okay, we're in a surplus. So, just remember that. You're going back, like I'll give you an example. Phoenix, Arizona, okay? Let's say, think about how much, I think they average 10 inches of rain in an entire year or something like that, or 12, it might be 15. It's not a lot. It's a desert. They live in a desert, right? The people in Phoenix. So let's say, just for giggles, let's say you don't get rain, because this has happened. Let's say you don't get rain for 2 years, okay? 2 years. And all of a sudden, or maybe instead of 15 inches of rain 1 year, you get 5. And then maybe the next year, instead of 15, you get 10. Okay, so what are you, about 15 inches in a deficit? And then the next year, you get like 25 to 30 inches of rain. Okay, or no, just say 20 inches of rain. You are still in a deficit from years past. But look at what has happened now in the short term. You don't want to try and tackle that complete deficit, or you're going to have crazy flooding. I hope I'm making sense. I think I'm just starting to ramble. Let's go back to the radar, and I'll answer some more questions. I saw a pumpkin run is back this year. That's what Donna says. Donna, I'm not sure what you're talking about. Oh, we have thunder here in Egg Harbor Township. And then Donna's replying saying, I saw a pumpkin run is back this year. I'm not sure what that means. I guess that's a conversation between those two. Thanks, Chris. You're the best. That's what Judy says. Thank you. Gary from Marlton checking in. Gary's in the house. Washington Township's in the house. Hi, Nancy. Donna, hi from West Norton. West Norton in the house. Beautiful sunset in Manchester Township, Ocean County. We have Kim in the house. Good evening, Kim. We had a decent sunset here. We had some pretty good color for like maybe 5 minutes, but the clouds have kind of taken over again. Notice again, all warnings are dropped. Okay, here's a look at what the radar looks like right now. All severe thunderstorm warnings are gone. Now, all we're seeing is just a little bit of rain, and that's it. And that rain's probably only going to last about another half hour, and then we're done. All right. Donna says you do make sense. Okay, good. Sometimes I get going. And it happens that now that I'm getting older, all right, it does happen where sometimes I know the point I'm trying to make, and I'll get into this really good explainer, right? And I'll get halfway through it, and all of a sudden I lose track of what I was saying. And I'm like, shoot, what the heck was I trying? And I come up with, it's like a brain freeze. I'm like, shoot, never used to happen to me before. Happens to me now. Moral of the story, don't get old. I mean, I'm only 50, but, it happens every now and then. Let's see. Question about the drought monitor. Doesn't the long term reflect the water in the reservoirs only when you're talking about a severe drought? We were never in a severe drought. Okay, so for example, those reservoirs, check a look. There's websites that you can look at now, okay, and take a look at what those reservoirs are looking like now. I guarantee you they're full. I guarantee you, because we've had so much runoff lately, okay? So, even if, and that's why, again, I say you got to be careful with these numbers. Even if you're still 3 or 4 inches in a deficit, I guarantee you, with all the runoff we've had, I guarantee you those reservoirs are pretty close to where they should be now. So, and again, there's a website. You can Google whatever reservoir you're looking at. You just put into Google, I don't know, just say the Joe Anderson Reservoir, I don't know, and just Google it. And you'll see a website, and it'll list the level. It'll list the level for you. You can draw everything. You can find everything on the web nowadays. Everything. Aurora is Elk Township, right? Verna, that's what I was thinking of. You're near Lake Gilman, out there in Monroeville. Yeah, it's a beautiful little area. How many people do you think live in that town? Seriously, is it less than 50? Maybe it's 100. It's a really small community, but it's a beautiful area, right there, kind of nestled in between Richwood and Farrell. And then all of a sudden you have this little community called Aurora, and it doesn't have a stoplight. It has like one light that blinks, it blinks yield, it blinks stop. You know what I mean? That's it. It doesn't have anything else. And I think it has one convenience store. It's just a really cute little area. Lois says, too late. I already am. I don't know what that means. Pine Barrens are still low. Yes, Pine Barrens are still low. They could use a little bit more. I agree. But it's not as bad, not nearly as bad. The only place right now that really could still use a decent amount of rain is when you get closer to the Jersey Shore, like Cape May County, maybe southern portions of Atlantic County, Sussex County and Delaware. As you get closer to the Jersey, but you got a good walloping today, so that's going to help. And if you get more rain tomorrow, that's going to help. These constant storm warnings for over a week and nothing but rain here in Northeast Philly. Renee, count your blessings. Listen, look, okay? Look at all these damage reports. You see all the circles? Look at them all. Okay? So, look what took place. Ready? Let me just go over real quick what took place today. Because Philly Northeast didn't get anything. Actually, Philly Northeast didn't get in a warning today. You got in a watch, right? I don't recall Philadelphia Northeast ever going into a severe thunderstorm warning today. Maybe they did, but I don't recall them going into a warning. I remember them going into a watch, and that means conditions are favorable. All right, the warning means that severe weather is actually happening or it's imminent. So there's a little bit of a difference there. But, like I said earlier, think about some of the destruction we had with some of these storms today. You don't want that. You probably got a ton of people down there in Maryland around Baltimore that have no power. You want to be without power when it's this humid and uncomfortable outside. And, we had reports of trees down and snapped, power poles and wires down. 80 mile an hour observed wind speeds. 80. That's a Category 1 hurricane. Category 1 hurricane force winds begin at 74. Trust me, you don't want that. So count your lucky stars, right? Count your blessings. If you do get under a warning and all you get is 40 mile an hour winds and some heavy rain, good. You know what I mean? Because somebody else isn't faring as well as you did. 71 for me too. That's what Donna says. Is it going to rain tomorrow in Burlington? There's a chance. There is a chance that we could see some more downpours, okay? It will be spotty though, okay? Just like today, all right? Not everybody's going to see big thunderstorms. Some of you will, some of you won't. It's that time of year. We don't get into a situation where everybody gets the same thing until you start getting late into the fall and then, of course, winter and spring. When you're tracking big areas of low pressure, that's when everybody gets at least something. This time of the year, it's pop-up stuff, okay? when you think about how big the viewing area is, and we've talked about this before, from the Poconos down to, maybe Salisbury, Maryland, or Ocean City, Maryland, Harrisburg, the Jersey Shore, that's a huge area. Think about all that real estate. And not everybody will see one because you're talking about pop-up storms. You're not talking about a big organized area of low pressure where multiple states are just completely covered in rain. That kind of stuff doesn't happen until late fall and winter. And that's when everybody starts seeing the same thing. It says, Chris, you don't remember July 15th, 1995, when the heat index in Philly was 129 and a dew point of 83? Michael, I do not. And I got to be honest, I don't want to remember that. That sounds absolutely awful. But that 129, I mean, listen, in Florida, when I was down there, I'm not even kidding, for 3 straight months, we dealt with 110 to 122 every day. That was our heat index. There was no break. So Dave says the brick bubble protected us again. I know. Everybody thinks they live in a bubble. There's the Delco bubble. There's the Cape May bubble. There's the Mako bubble. Now we've got the brick bubble. I know. Everybody lives in a bubble. Well, congratulations that you didn't get severe weather, okay? Because you don't want to deal with some of these wind speeds, 70, 80 miles per hour. So, I mean, look at this. Everyone says the Cape May bubble. You've had huge rains over the last couple of weeks and huge storms. It's just, like I said, it's an environment right now where some areas get hit and some areas don't. This winter, we should get the blizzard of, Sheila, I don't know. I want to say, yeah. Sheila's saying this winter we should get a blizzard of 2026. I'd love to see it. I really would. But you have to remember, big blizzards like that don't happen very often. You just got one last winter. So the chances of you getting one again this winter are very, very slim. All right, to get a good blizzard, back to back years, it's really, really slim. But I guess anything's possible in an El Nino. Only one bubble. That's the brick. Dave says there's only one bubble. That's the brick bubble. Robin says, I have a friend in Dubai. For the next couple of years, check out their low temps, dew points, and heat indices. Makes Florida look chill. Oh, I can imagine. You're in the middle of the desert. Do they get big heat index numbers, though, and dew points if they're in the desert like that? Although they are near, Dubai is near that. Are they near the Persian Gulf? They're near a big body of water, so maybe they do get really, really awful heat index numbers out there. Denise says, okay, you're replying to Sheila. I don't know what you said there. We had enough snow last year. Nancy, you guys got buried. Are we ever going to see low humidity again? That's what Shelly says, my hair. Yes, you will see it late in the day on Friday. I'm having problems with the lives. It kicks me off and live isn't highlighting in red. I have to constantly shut my phone off and turn it back on. Mary, that's a Facebook thing. That's not me. I don't know. So you're saying she's having problems with, anybody have any advice for her? She's having problems with the lives. It knocks her off. And then it's not highlighting in red for her. Yeah, if anyone has any, maybe quick fixer-uppers, and you can type it in the comments section, that would be greatly appreciated. I'm not sure. I'm honestly not sure why that would be happening. I do know Facebook's lives, I mean, they have these constant problems. And all I can tell you is I have an incredible signal right now. I have almost 10 times the amount of power that I should have. So I'm fine. So it's not coming on my end. But, all I can say is, maybe another thing too that you should try to do is turn your phone off and turn it back, like completely shut it down, turn it off, turn it back on. Maybe it just needs to be kind of rebooted, so to speak. Nancy says, Facebook problems. Yeah. Mike says, is it only mobile or is it on your computer too? All right, I'm assuming you're talking to her. All right, try uninstalling. Yes, Jamie, great advice because I had to do that once and it works. I like what Jamie said here. What you want to try is uninstalling the app and then reinstall it. I actually had to chat GPT that, and that's what the instructions told me to do, and I did it, and I have not had a problem since. So try that. That's good advice. Donna says, I watch play-by-play. Okay, I'm not sure what you're saying. Okay, she's talking about the Phillies game. Lisa says, Chris, I have a question. You have Starlink. Does that come with a landline and email? So I never got it, Lisa. I have Comcast and it keeps freezing. So I was going to get the Starlink and I never did. All right, because when we got what I did was instead I spent $2,000 on this super duper computer, and I haven't had a problem since. So I also have had some other upgrades with some of the equipment that we're using in OBS and some of those systems that gives me the ability to stream Robin live and Amy in live and do all the things that you see me do. So I've had upgrades here, but I never got the Starlink. I was going to do that, never did that. Instead, I just bought this new super duper computer, and I've got just an incredible amount of power here, so I don't have any hiccups anymore. I mean, there's the rarest of occasions I might get a quick freeze, but it doesn't last long. Robin says, when I first tried to join, whoa. That's my phone line. I'd have to call him back. That's my nephew Hayden. Hayden, if you're listening to me, I'm on live right now. I'll call you back. She said, when I first tried to join, it kept repeating. Went to YouTube to watch there, and a few minutes later, I was able to join on Facebook. Yeah, she says, I usually power cycle my phone. Yeah, that's a good idea. What are your thoughts for tomorrow? Mike, I think it's, there's a chance that some people get some thunderstorms and some people don't. It's just, it's the pattern that we're in. It's more isolated tomorrow. Today, everybody got at least a little bit of rain. The thunderstorms were confined to two areas, though, and those areas were north and south. And the heart of the Philadelphia area didn't see much. Mike said, yes, there you go, Nancy. It'll rain in some area, and I wish I had a better answer for you, but that's really it. It'll rain in some areas, and it won't in others. Donna says, sorry, going off topic, but someone mentioned the current score to you. Oh, Phillies? What is the Phillies score? Someone, if they could put it up, that'd be great. Nancy says, I log into Facebook and Sour Skywatch. Thank you so much, Nancy. Baltimore got about no more than 0.25 inches. I'm not sure what you're talking about. Baltimore was under 2 tornado warnings today, Mike. They had big winds across the surrounding suburbs and big winds in downtown. They got creamed with severe weather. So, I don't know much about Baltimore. I don't know where the reporting station is, but I know that line hammered Baltimore today. I was live when it was happening. Okay, Betsy says, no score, bottom of the first inning. Who's on the mound? Who's pitching for the Phillies? Anybody know? All right, and then what I will do, let's see. Anybody know? Comments? Who's pitching? Okay. All right, what I'll do is, all right, I'm going to call it a night because we did Andrew Painter. Okay, I heard Painter's been quite a bit better since he went down to the minors and came back up again. So, hopefully he continues, because he was a good prospect, right? He was someone that the Phillies were really, really excited about. So hopefully, he's worked out his kinks down there in the minors and he's come back flame throwing. Wait a minute. Jamie says Zach Wheeler. Zach Wheeler? Who is it? Painter or Wheeler? It's Painter. Right. It's Painter. Okay. Paint is pitching. All right. I'm going to call it an evening because we did a lot of live earlier today and I'm just spent. I'm really, really tired. So I'm going to call it an evening. Tomorrow morning at 7:30, we'll take another look at the severe weather update for tomorrow afternoon, and we'll see if anything changes. Again, I suspect that they're going to lift that dark shade of green a little bit farther to the north to include Philadelphia, to include Trenton, and to include the Lehigh Valley. So what I would say for those of you that have outdoor plans tomorrow afternoon, it's a spotty thunderstorm threat. Some of you will get it, some of you won't. Everybody's going to see temperatures in the upper 80s to low 90s again, and it's going to feel uncomfortable at times with the moderate to high humidity levels. Wednesday is sort of the same thing. If you get a thunderstorm, it's likely going to be early in the day, and then by afternoon we clear. And then finally later in the week, let's say Friday, that's when the humidity finally starts to calm down a little bit and temperatures really, really begin to cool. And then Saturday morning, circle the calendar now. Saturday morning, I think everybody should get up at like 6 o'clock in the morning or just as the sun is coming up and sit out on the back patio or the back deck with your cup of coffee, kick your feet up. You know what you might be able to do, because there might be a little bit of a breeze blowing too, especially north and west. You may be able to get on your back patio and kick your feet up, right? You're sitting on a chair, you got your coffee, and you might be able to put a nice little blanket on you and just kind of maybe on your phone, or because nobody reads a paper. Do they even make papers anymore? So maybe you're on your phone just looking at it, holding your coffee, nice little blanket on your back patio. That's how Saturday morning's going to be. So get out early, set your alarm, get outside around 6 in the morning, 5:30 in the morning, and enjoy that, because that is beautiful and we so deserve it. All right, that's going to do it for me, guys. I am going to go to bed. I'll see you tomorrow at 7:30. Thanks for watching.